Here's an exercise demonstration video for the half kneeling press. Now this one gets its name because we'll have one knee down on the ground and one foot on the ground. So we have a half kneeling position. The benefits of the half kneeling position are mostly due to pelvis position. So I have my shirt tucked in to make this a little easier to see. So you can see this line of where my shorts and my shirt meet. When I go into the half kneeling position, this gives me the ability to do my vertical pressing while my pelvis stays neutral, and that's really important. What we don't want is to have our pelvis tilted forward. This is called anterior pelvic tilt because the front of the pelvis is tilted forward. And we also can't afford or very well get into a position where we have posterior pelvic tilt, where the pelvis is tilted backwards. When we're standing up, it's much easier for us to violate both of these positions. So just to make it easy for you to see, from here, anterior pelvic tilt and posterior pelvic tilt both have to do with this line where my shirt and my shorts meet. And you can practice this on your own with your hands right on the waistband of your shorts. Feel like you're going to tilt the hips forward and tilt the hips backwards. So that's going to be the anterior and posterior pelvic tilt that honestly we're trying to avoid by going into the half kneeling position. So most people, when they press overhead, they get a little anterior pelvic tilt in order to help them achieve a vertical position with questionable shoulder or hip mobility. When we go down into the half kneeling position, you're going to be blocked from having much anterior or posterior pelvic tilt. So when you're doing this half kneeling press, make sure that you have this tension in the butt and you're keeping this line of the pelvis neutral or flat. It will largely happen just by mandate of the position, but I want you to understand what we're trying to do so that I don't see you doing a one-arm press this way with your body overly curved. Abs, glute, neutral pelvis, and of course, nice tall posture and neutral head position as we press this dumbbell up to the ceiling. Notice how my forearm is a little bit in front of the side of the body, and then once we drive it up overhead, now that weight is directly lined up over the shoulder and elbow, hip, and knee. So we have quite a column of support. And when you look at this one from the front, we're going to have that same vertical alignment, knee, hip, shoulder, and eventually that dumbbell up above, all coming in a vertical line. The dumbbell gets a little bit wider to descend down to the side, but we don't need our arm to be way out here. In fact, we want that elbow to be a little bit closer to the rib cage for that safety and protection. When you're doing the half kneeling press, whichever knee is on the ground should be the same side that's loaded up for you in that press. So of course you'll need to switch this, switch the hand and the knee so that you're pressing from the other side. All right, hope this exercise demonstration video is useful for you, and this is a great movement for you to substitute for all of your overhead pressing if you're the type of person that spends a lot of time sitting down or with their hands out in front. For 21st century work, this is a lot of us, so if you feel tight in the chest and shoulder, the half kneeling press can be a great way for you to make sure that you're maintaining proper structural integrity before you start to press overhead. And like you've heard me say before, when you're doing your exercise, focus on the quality of your position before you try to focus on the range of motion. So make sure you keep the shoulder in the alignment like we talked about before you try to press all the way to the top. Sometimes people do really, really great until the last little bit, and that's where they start to lose their position. I would rather for you to just cut off that last piece of the motion rather than go into a violated position. Over time, work on developing your perfect range of motion to include the full motion of the joints, but don't let the full motion violate your position when you're developing. Finally, start to work on that load. How heavy of an object can you lift after you have the alignment and the full range of motion? All right, hope this video is helpful and you think of me next time you're doing your workouts. See you next time. Thanks for watching.